Hello students, in today's class we are going to continue the discussion of valence bond theory, right? Let us first consider the methane molecule and the electronic configuration of a carbon in its ground state. We know the atomic number of carbon is 6, so therefore we write it as helium 2s2 and then followed by 2p2, which in the excited state it becomes helium 2s1, 2px1, 2py1 and 2pz1. So here let us try to understand the ground state configuration and that of the excited state configuration. If at all, if you see the carbon whose atomic number is 6, so therefore atomic number Z is equal to 6, I can write it as 1s2, 2s2, 2px1, 2py1 and 2pz0. But in the excited state carbon, here we can write 1s2. So here what happens, one of the electron from 2s orbital will be present in 2pz orbital. So therefore this becomes 2s1 and here 2px1 and here 2py1 and here we can get 2pz1. So this, if you see here, all these orbitals, that is 2s1 orbital, 2px1 orbital, 2py1 orbital and that of 2pz, all are having single electron. So therefore we can say that the energy required for this excitation, we have learnt how that excitation has been formed. So therefore the energy required for this excitation is compensated by the release of energy due to the overlap between the orbitals of carbon and that of hydrogen. Now the 4 atomic orbitals of a carbon, each with an unpaired electron. As I have already told you, in the excited state carbon will be having a 1s2, 2s1, 2px1, 2py1 and 2pz1. So 4, which are those 4? 2s, 2px, 2py and 2pz. So these are the 4 atomic orbitals of carbon, each of which are having unpaired electrons and can overlap with 1s orbitals of 4 hydrogen atoms which are also singly occupied, right? So if I say hydrogen, so hydrogen orbital is having what? Only 1 electron in that. So this 1s orbital of hydrogen will be overlapping with that of what? 2s orbital of carbon atom, similarly with that of 2px1, similarly with that of 2py1 and the same with respect to 2pz1, right? So you can see that the next statement here, this will result in the formation of 4 CH bonds. It will however be observed that while the 3 p orbitals of carbon are at 90 degrees. Now what does this mean? Because we have already learnt that the p orbitals, if you see, one is along x-axis, one is along y-axis and one more is along z-axis. So therefore whenever the bond that has been formed between p orbital and that of s orbital of hydrogen, it will be always at what angle? 90 degree angle. This concept we have to understand, right? Thus the hydrogen carbon and hydrogen angle for these will also be what? 90 degrees. That is 3 CH bonds will be oriented at 90 degree to one another I am strictly speaking with respect to the 3 p orbitals. So concentrate on this particular, okay, that is 2px, 2py, and that of what, 2pz. Whenever they overlap with hydrogen, the bond angle, which is that bond angle, hydrogen, carbon and hydrogen, the angle will be what, 90 degrees. But the question what is that, if you take that methane molecule, okay, methane molecule is a tetrahedral in nature, so we have learned there. So one hydrogen here, another hydrogen here, another hydrogen here, and another hydrogen here. So if you see the 3 hydrogens, okay, this one hydrogen, this one hydrogen, and this another hydrogen, if at all these are present at 90 degree, that is fine. But what with respect to the other one, which is having what, this hydrogen? So this hydrogen, for the bond that has been formed, it has to form with the 2s orbital. So this is the 2s orbital, but we know that the 2s orbital is also spherical, and hydrogen that is having one orbital, that is 1s orbital, that is also what, spherical. So spherical orbitals can overlap in any direction. So I hope you understood. So 3 are forming at an angle of 90 degree, but whereas the 4th bond can overlap in any direction. So what the concept here we have to understand is that the 2s orbital of a carbon and the 1s orbital of a hydrogen are spherically symmetrical, right, are spherically symmetrical, and they can overlap in any direction, right. Therefore the direction of the 4th CH bond cannot be ascertained, we cannot find it exactly. But this description, whatever we have explained right now, does not fit with the tetrahedral bond angle, that is the carbon, hydrogen and carbon angles of what, 109.5 degrees. Why? Because we have experimentally determined that in the case of methane, the bond angle between the carbon and any of the hydrogen is, what is the angle, 109.5 degrees. Therefore it clearly follows that simple atomic orbital overlap does not account for the directional properties or characteristics of bonds in methane molecule. Under the similar procedure and arguments, it can be seen that in the case of ammonia, right, in the case of ammonia, so if I write the electronic configuration of ammonia, we know that Z is equal to what, 7, and the electronic configuration is 1s2, then followed by 2s2, then followed by 2p3, but I will be writing it as 2px1, 2py1 and 2pz1. So there are 3 p orbitals, which are those 2px1, 2py1 and 2pz1. All of them are having a single electron, and when they overlap with 1s1 orbital of a hydrogen, the angle formed between the 2px1 and that of 2py1 and that of 2pz1 should be what, 90 degree. But we have seen that there is a disagreement with the actual bond angle, that is it will be 107 degrees in the case of water ammonia molecule, and similarly in the case of water molecule the bond angle will be water 104.5 degrees, right. If at all, if I consider with respect to oxygen, so Z atomic number is equal to what, 8, and I can write here 1s2, then followed by 2s2, then followed by 2px, then followed by 2py, and then followed by 2pz, right. So I can write the number of electrons here. This is first electron, this is second electron, this is third electron, and this is the fourth electron, because total number of electrons are 8, here 2, then followed by 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, and this is 8. So this is completely filled, so remaining are only 2, which are those 2, 2py and that of 2pz. And if at all, if a water molecule has to be formed with that of oxygen atom, there are 2 hydrogen atoms. So these 2 hydrogen atoms, whenever they overlap with that of 2py or that of water 2pz, right, the bond angle would have been what, 90 degrees. But actually the bond angle is how much here in case of water molecule, 104.5 degrees, right. So therefore we can understand that atomic orbitals are not involved in the formation of molecules, but rather than hybridization takes place, that is mixing up of what? Atomic orbitals. Now let us try to understand types of overlapping and the nature of the covalent bonds. The covalent bond may be classified into two types depending upon the types of overlapping, right? The first type of bond we can see, that is sigma bond, and the second one is pi bond. Now sigma bond, in this type of covalent bond, it is formed by end to end, which is also called as head-on overlap of bonding orbitals along the internuclear axis, right? So this is called as head-on overlap, or simply it is called as axial overlap. It is along the axis, so it is called as axial overlap. This type of combination, or this can be formed by any one of the following types of combination of atomic orbitals. The first one, if you see, it is called as SS overlapping. It means that there is one s orbital and similarly other s orbital. Both of them are overlapping along the internuclear axis, and you can see that here the overlapping that has been formed, right? So this is called as SS overlapping. Is it clear, students? So in this case there is overlap of two half-filled s orbitals along the internuclear axis. The second type of combination, if you see, it is called as sp overlapping, right? So this type of overlap occurs between half-filled, that is to be understood very importantly. What is that? Half-filled means it contains only one electron. Here also one electron, that is called as half-filled s orbitals of one atom and half-filled p orbitals of another atom. When they overlap, it results in the formation of sp overlapping. Similarly, we are having the third one, that is called as pp overlapping. pp means there is overlapping between two p orbitals. So this type of overlap takes place between half-filled p orbitals of the two approaching atoms. So this is one p orbital and this is another p orbital, and both of them are containing one unpaired electron, and when they overlap, it results in pp overlapping. So this was all with respect to sigma bond formation. One important point you have to remember, students, whenever pp overlapping is taking place, one should understand that the p orbital which is involved in overlapping, it is always pz orbital along the internuclear axis. Now let us try to understand with respect to the pi bond formation. In the formation of pi bond, the atomic orbitals overlap in such a way such that their axes remain parallel to each other. So this point, if you see here, okay, so this is the axis with respect to this p orbital and this is the axis with respect to this p orbital. So their axes are remaining parallel to each other and perpendicular to the internuclear axis perpendicular to the internuclear axis. These orbitals are formed due to sideways overlapping. It means that this part of one orbital will be overlapping this part of the orbital. That is called as sideways overlapping. Consists of two saucer type charge clouds above as well as below the plane of the participating atoms, right? So if you see here, it is forming above as well as below, or if it is represented in other manner, you can see that in a saucer type charge clouds, okay, in this manner it is formed, that is pi bond. So in this diagram at this corner you can see how the pi bond and the sigma bond has been formed here. Okay, it is a typical example of alkene molecule, that is CH2 double bond then followed by CH2, and here you can see that this one bond is called as sigma bond and the other bond that is called as pi bond, Is it clear? So you can see in the picture here we have mentioned this is the pi bond. The pi bond is formed by lateral overlapping above as well as what below here, right? And this is nothing but what sigma bond. So sigma bonds are always formed along the axis, that is head-on overlap, but whereas pi bonds are formed by lateral overlapping. In fact, this molecule formation we are going to learn in hybridization in the next coming video. And now lastly we are going to learn the differences between a sigma bond and that of what pi bond. The sigma bond is first denoted by a symbol, and that I will write here. This is called as a sigma. It is the representation for what a sigma bond, and that of pi bond we usually represent in this manner, that is called as what a pi, right? The first difference, if you see, the sigma bond is formed by axial overlap. It means it is nothing but a head-on overlap of atomic orbital. But whereas the pi bond is formed by sideways overlap of atomic orbital. The second difference, if you see, with respect to sigma bond is the sigma bond can be formed by either by s-s orbital overlap or sp orbital overlap or that of pp atomic orbitals. But whereas if you see with respect to pi bond, the pi bond can be formed by only pp orbitals overlap, right? The third difference in the sigma bond, you can see that due to head-on overlap or axial overlap, the sigma bond is stronger, that is extent of overlapping is greater. So if I write one simple representation here, and if at all if it is forming a sigma bond, extent of overlapping, so this extent of overlapping is more. So therefore sigma bonds are always stronger bonds when compared with that of pi bond. So therefore the third difference in the case of pi bond is due to lateral overlapping the bond is weak, that is the extent of overlapping is smaller. If at all if I write here the pi bond formation, lateral overlapping, so this is one p orbital and this is another p orbital. If at all they overlap here, the extent of overlapping here and here with respect to what the orbitals will be lesser. So due to lateral overlapping the pi bond is always a weak bond, right? And the fourth important point is that in the case of sigma bond there can be free rotation of the atoms around the bond, right? And this concept we can understand only with respect to an example. In the coming video I'll be explaining this point, particularly the fourth point, right? And the fourth point with respect to pi bond is free rotation of the atoms around the pi bond is not possible because it involves the breaking of the pi bond. Concepts are clear, students? And one more last point that we have to remember is that unless and until a sigma bond is formed, a pi bond cannot takes place. It means the sigma bonds are formed first and then only pi bonds are formed. Is it clear, students? And the remaining part with respect to hybridization will be continued in the next video. Thank you for watching.